Welcome back, everybody, to At a Time, our weekly Fantasy Premier League football podcast. I'm Nate. This is Mike. We're here to talk about the abysmal game week that was game week 11.
This game week will go down in history as the Doku game week. Okay? Now, if I would just get a minute to summarize the poor game week that we just had, the historic game week. Firstly, Haaland subbed at halftime for a 1-pointer. Okay?
City going to score three more goals after halftime.
6 goals.
Yeah.
In that game. Of those 6 goals, Alvarez somehow isn't involved in any of them. Okay? Doku is the only player who scores any points, and not many people own him.
No.
Okay, we'll talk about Doku later.
4%. Carry on.
Archer scores a screamer. You guys should really watch that Archer goal. I was like, whoa, this guy. He shot a rocket. He's on everybody's bench. Is he on your bench, Nate?
That's 9 points sitting on the bench. That could have brought me above the average.
Areola lets in a crap load of goals. Turner doesn't even play.
Areola was hanging up to Sanchez on the weekend. I saw them at a pub.
Flecken, if you win that way, injured in the first half, 0 points. Burn, off injured, 1 point. 3 months gone. Burn, gone. Newcastle, a questionable physics of a sphere goal on the line, wiping out Arsenal's clean sheets. If you had any Arsenal defenders, clean sheet gone in a tough game. Last week's hype pick player, Nketiah,
nothing.
Thanks. That's not surprising.
Then Villa. Yeah, you go. Aston Villa.
Somehow, Aston Villa, the informed team in the Premier League.
I need to give you guys insight quickly. We just finished the Man City game, and Mike is laughing his ass off in the group. He's throwing memes. He's sending screenshots of his team and writing Watkins all over because the man captain Watkins. And what do you know? It looked like a great play at the time. You looked like you were about to be like the call of the week, and then all of a sudden, nothing.
Yeah. I just thought I took a gamble again, and my gamble paid off after the first day. But after the second day, I was like, how do Villa lose to Forest? Forest are not a pushover at home, it looks like. They're a strong team.
But also 2-0. And how did Villa lose and don't even score as well, considering the form?
I watched the whole game, and Villa were good. They tried their best, but they were just like unlucky, and Forest were resolute. But how Watkins blanks after he's Mr. Consistent, I don't know. Make matters worse, Cash goes off injured for a 0-pointer. Great.
Yeah.
Tsimikas benched. Everybody brings in Tsimikas, price goes up. He gets benched. I watched the highlights of the Liverpool game. Oh my word. I think Darwin Núñez is a Chelsea player.
It looks like it though, eh?
After shot after shot. Missed all of them. Hits the bar. He does everything right. Just cannot get it. Salah goes invisible. Egyptian God card gets thrown off the ship.
To the graveyard.
Zodia into the water. Liverpool somehow draw their easy fixture. We brought them in for this fixture against Luton. They somehow draw 1-1 and they steal the draw at the end. It's not even like they had the draw and they lost. Like Luton were fighting and getting tired near the end. Like Luton deserved to win that game.
The person that we told everyone to stay away from as well, Bruno Fernandes, goes and wins it for United. Also a terrible game, just by the way. But
he won it in the 90th minute.
That's classic United though. Fashion. Yeah, flipping hell, man.
So props to United, but at the same time, it doesn't actually bode well for United because against Fulham, they shouldn't be winning the game in the 90th minute. Luckily, but anyways, Salah's invisible. I'll tell you, Liverpool look like giants against Luton on that field. You should watch the game and you just look at them. Like Luton versus Liverpool, every Liverpool player stood head and shoulders muscularly above Luton. Luton still managed to. Kabore gets an assist. Guess where he's sitting on? Everybody's bench. Madison, I'm sorry, bro. Injured in the first half.
No, well, so he was slightly injured, but he came off because of the red card. They made space for him. And then on top of that, Son's goal is disallowed. So there goes all the Sons owners. All the Sons owners don't get anything because of the disallowed goal. So I'm going to keep rambling on until Mike gets his headset back.
That's back.
No, I was just saying that Madison gets brought off because of the red card and maybe some sort of knock, but then Son goes and gets his goal disallowed, so Son owners don't get anything because Spurs go 2 men down, and then they're sitting with 9 players versus Chelsea, still making us look like a piece of trash, like we're some Sunday league team playing the Premier League team.
Bro.
Jackson scores the most hilarious hat trick I've ever seen in my life with a Sui celebration. I don't know why I did that.
It's just like Madison going off injured is one thing. Spurs conceding 4 goals when some people have Spurs defenders is another thing.
Yeah.
Romero and Doggy getting both red carded for -4. Imagine you doubled up and you got -8. It's opposite day.
Yeah.
Every single person who's supposed to score doesn't score, and Jackson scores a hat trick. It's clearly
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Son isn't even safe. Son can't score. The average is... What kind of game week was this?
Bro, the TVA had an effect. Loki changed the timeline and it branched out and something happened over this weekend.
Are you watching Loki?
Yeah. I am.
Season 2.
I'm waiting for the 6th episode now, tomorrow.
I think I haven't watched the episode. Oh, wait. Maybe I have it up to date. But anyways, this was a strange game week. And let's be honest here. I think I caught up to you because of a couple of key decisions. Step 1, you don't have Trippier.
Yeah. Oh.
And every single time Trippier calls, you have to think to yourself, why don't I have Trippier? You don't have Matoma. You have Idringa. And I was lucky because if you watch that game, Matoma got a deflection assist over there for the own goal. And it was actually like it was lucky. But we did say Brighton are on the ascendancy. We'll look at their next fixture. I've got Gordon, which a lot of people are going to, and I think you want to talk a little bit about Palmer today. So I'll pick your brain about Palmer. But Gordon has been my saving grace over the last couple of game weeks. With in the last 5 game weeks, he scored 12, 5, 0, 8, 2, 7. So those are decent amount of points for a mid-priced midfielder, cheap actually, 5.7, so 5.5 when I got him. So he's decent. He's doing his thing. So there's a couple of reasons why I actually won this game week compared to you. But let's be honest, nobody won this game week. And I just wanted to ask you, like, can we start with the end, the big one, the big one.
Before that, I want to just remind everyone something that just came to my head. Remember we spoke about 2 or 3 weeks ago that you play the points, that you bring in a play, he doesn't haul, but next week he gets a hat trick, and then he doesn't get points, and then next week he gets 2 goals. So over the 4-week period, he's got more points than what you would have had. I think Bowen paid off for me in that sense because I took him out for Son. And if you think about it, I know what did Son do last week? I don't think he did much. Did he get 2 goals or 1 goal? He got 1 goal.
10-pointer last week.
He got one goal, and then
he got 14.
So what I was trying to say is, it's definitely not a good strategy. So don't do what I was doing.
I know, I hear your strategy, but the problem was that for me personally, in your strategy there, while I agreed with you and I know you were spreading your funds out, there's some players in my FPL experience that you have to stick with because of the positional change. If Son was just a midfielder and Harry Kane was in the team as the striker,
different story.
I would 100% agree with you because Son is a midfielder. When you have a midfielder who's got a history of FPL dominance, he's good at scoring goals, and he's playing in a striker position, which means he's statistically likely to score goals. Okay, he's also the captain, which means he's guaranteed to almost start every game. There's too many reasons there for me to go, I have to have Son, I have to have Son, I have to have Son, against having SAKA, for example, which I think you have SAKA.
I do have SAKA. Yeah, that's why I did the move.
You did it for SAKA, and I don't care about your Bowen move because I think your Bowen move is good, because I think Bowen was a good differential to have. Even if he's not paying off, he should be scoring more points. But it's SAKA was the one that I don't have, And I think that I lucked out because Saka hasn't scored enough points over the last 2 game weeks to justify you having him over Son.
Yeah.
But that's luck
That's the
too.
thing. Yeah, because it's like I needed Salah in, and I needed to fit. I want, like you say, I wanted to spread my midfield up a bit, and there was just no way I could afford Son. I just not with the midfield that I have. Look, I can bring him in
I,
now, and I have 8 mil to spend, but then it's like I sacrifice the Saka. I just because it's like Burnley now. It's like she should score, but
he should, but
you don't know.
I'm my gamble right now is I'm not gonna have Saka. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
having Saka, and I'm hoping that it pays off for as long as it pays off until it doesn't pay off. Because we got a big problem in midfield. Because that brings us to this big game, and then we can talk about some key points. So I'm gonna start at the beginning. Sunday, Chelsea versus Man City. We know Chelsea not winning the game. Not necessarily Chelsea losing the game, but Chelsea ain't winning that game.
No,
As Chelsea supporters, we're
no
realistic here. We're in a building phase. Man City's come off a 6-1
goal.
victory
Yeah,
against Bournemouth, where they were insane, even though they didn't help us FPL wise. They were insane. Man City also played yesterday against Young Boys, and they scored 3-0. And Haaland is not injured because he played that game and scored a pen. So Haaland still remains, in
Haaland
my
was in
opinion,
training as well. Just by the way,
yeah,
he was
yeah,
training.
and so he played. He scored a pen yesterday, and he scored a goal.
I think it was just a
So
safety precaution. It's like you 3-0 up at halftime. Why would you risk Haaland taking him off?
yeah, take him off. Let him rest. Just pisses off FPL players. Pep knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He knows.
He
There's a
plays
reason why it's
FPL.
called
He's got a
Pep
mini
Pep.
league, and the people above him have captained Haaland. He knows. That's exactly what's happened.
Now, I just wanted to talk about one player in particular. Everybody is hyping up and probably bringing in this week, who will probably blank against Chelsea. Doku. I've been watching him closely for a couple of weeks. I'm not going to say that I was ever going to go on him because this is the problem. The midfield is too stacked. It
Mm,
feels like we need 6 spots in midfield and need to play all of them because there is too much going on in the midfield, especially with Son being a midfielder, Salah being a midfielder, Saka giving us headaches, and a whole lot of mid-price midfielders being decent. But Doku is a player. What do I mean by that? He's fast, he's skillful, he's strong, he's direct. He's a player that I haven't seen Man City have for a very long time. He's like he's he's a complete player in my opinion, and I look forward to watching the rest of City's games because every time he gets the ball, he's got that combination of all the best traits of a
he does
footballer.
some.
He
Yeah,
never
he
gives
does
up.
something with it.
He
Yeah.
keeps running. He keeps going. He's run chase down balls all the way to the line and save them. He's the power, strength, and skill that he has combination is so intense that he in a team like City have always had these skillful but not strong players. At the back, Kyle Walker's pretty strong. Foden's put on some muscle, but they had the Bernardo Silvas and these tricky players, pass the ball kind of players.
Mm,
Doku's not just a pass the ball kind of player; he is a machine,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
and I think he's going to dominate that left wing position for the rest of the next couple of years. As
So
he
when
says,
when do you pull the trigger on him for FPL?
I'm not because there's no space in midfield. There's space up front. Like literally, I don't need Alvarez and Haaland and Watkins.
Well,
But
theoretically, if you're a manager, then you have Matoma in. Would you swap him to Doku for
no,
Run?
because has it ever worked so far that someone scored a hat trick, bring them in next game week?
They'll do it again.
That hasn't. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. There's a reason why Doku hasn't been consistently getting points because I'm just saying, as a
Well, he
player,
doesn't
he's
start.
super
He hasn't
strong.
started much either. That's why he hasn't also been getting
He's
points.
gonna start starting. I know that because he's so good. But at the same time, it's like Haaland is on pens, Alvarez is consistently scoring points
He's also on
and
free
up
kicks, I
there.
believe. Alvarez is also on free kicks. They're
Uh,
pieces.
I don't think City's front two of Haaland and Alvarez is going to change anytime soon. Doku is becoming one of those. But if you tell me where there's space in the midfield for Doku, I'll be like, sure.
But saying that, Doku's got the 4 assists, was giving him the points. Does he
I can't,
become the feeder for Haaland?
I can't even fit in Saka. I can't even. How? Now you're telling me I must find space for Doku. Where must I put him?
Alvarez.
Where? I can't. If Doku's a forward, sure, but there's no space in midfield.
I know what you mean.
You got Bowen. I can't
what
put
happens when
Bowen.
Kevin De Bruyne comes back? Do you even look at him?
Kevin. I feel like Kevin De Bruyne might leave City eventually soon now because City team feels like it's moved on without him. To be honest, it's like Foden has taken that role and has made it his own, and City don't feel like they miss Kevin De Bruyne.
There's, you know,
They
on
don't
the
feel like
Stoke,
they miss.
yeah.
They used to. They used to be like, oh, Kevin De Bruyne is not playing.
What
City's
are
going to
we
lose
gonna
the next
do?
couple of
Yeah,
games until
yeah.
they comes back and then we win 15 games in a row and take the league. Now it's like, oh,
We figured it out.
when last do you remember Kevin De Bruyne playing? Did you ever feel
Kevin
like?
who?
Do you feel like they needed him this week?
No,
No.
I haven't actually felt like he's been missing since
Did they
only
need
like
him
maybe
against Man City?
only the week that maybe the week after he went off. It was weird, and then I think they cleaned up, and then it was like, oh,
Phil Foden. That's why Pep will go down as one of the greatest managers of all time, in my opinion. And people from Man United will say he doesn't hold the candles to Alex Ferguson. Blah blah blah. Money, money, money. However, this guy developed Phil Foden. Not only did he develop Phil Foden, he developed two Phil Fodens. He took two English players, made two Phil Fodens, and he gave Chelsea one of them. So tell me now about Cole Palmer, because to me, he's like Phil Foden. He doesn't have as much muscle. He's not as good, but he's almost as good. And he now plays for Chelsea. And you were telling me you want to bring him in your team. And I'm thinking about bringing him in this week in a place because midfield, because I've stacked my team, I don't have the money to bring in Doku, but I do have 5 million to bring in a cheap midfielder that is playing every week for Chelsea. And if Chelsea scores, he
it's
will
probably
assist
him.
and he's on pins. So tell me about this Palmer pick and why it's a good idea.
Okay, so I made this call when he was at 4.9, and we were going to monitor him. And I firmly believe that if anything happens for Chelsea now, it's going to be Cole Palmer at the head of it. The thing is, even when Nkunku comes back, I think Nkunku is going to take the number 9 role, whether it be at a false 9 position, because I don't think Jackson's good enough. End of story. So I think when Nkunku comes back, Jackson is benched. That being said, if you look at Chelsea as fans now, and we can talk a little bit about this, you're not dropping Cole Palmer. End of story. And you're not playing Mudryk. You're also not going to drop Gallagher and Caicedo. I won't lie. Enzo played fine. You could feel that we missed his presence last week. Just that creative aspect of the game, trying to get balls through, because he likes to play forward. He just can't shoot for shit, but we'll talk about that another day. Gallagher annoyed me this past game as well because he liked playing it back. I don't know. Well, let's not deep dive into tactics, but what I'm trying to get at is Palmer's not getting dropped, but he'll probably play out wide. Does that...
Sterling's not getting dropped.
No, even though he had a bad performance last week, but it's fine. But he won't get dropped. That's the thing. He's a senior player. Does Palmer playing out wide make him less of a valuable asset as he did when he was playing center? Probably not, because I don't think Gallagher, Fernandez, and Caicedo will move from that 3. So Palmer's definitely playing out wide. But does he cut in and play like maybe they do a 4-4-2 and then play him and Nkunku up together and they alternate? Could also happen like that. We'll have to see.
The reality is Cole Palmer is essential to Chelsea, and
their success.
I would say, besides Sterling, Cole Palmer and Sterling are the two players that will be first on the team sheet. They will be first names before Nkunku, before Jackson, to a degree before Gallagher, because Gallagher is a luxury that we have this extra midfielder.
And every FPL manager has a budget price, has a cheaper midfielder that can afford to put him in with, and that cheaper midfielder is probably not scoring as much points. And I don't think that cheaper midfield is as valuable as what Cole Palmer can be for Chelsea. So, yeah, I back it.
But Chelsea's fixtures. Go tell me about Chelsea's next 4 fixtures and tell me if you're
going to I can't wait to beat Manchester City. Just kidding. But I wanted to say this. So on this Cole Palmer thing, that I have 2 potential moves to do this week. 3 potential moves. 2 of them include minus points. So we could chat about it now, but I'd like your insight on it. Is that I can take out Madison and Adringa to bring in Palmer and Doku. Now,
look at this guy.
This is a punt. This is a desperate attempt.
Doku.
But by doing that, I free up money to bring in Trippier.
You're gonna do a -8 and bring Trippier, Doku, and Palmer in?
It's
Ay,
ballsy.
ay,
I don't know if
ay,
I am, but I'm just saying, like, I have the money to do that if I wanted to. The other thing would be that I leave Rodrigo, take out Madison, so do two, take a -4, take out Madison for Palmer, and take out Burn for Trippier. Or the most likely and safe one would be Burn out for Gabriel from Arsenal. Bring him back the Gabriel train. Just because of fixtures and he's starting and he's playing well. And Gabriel Saliba in the middle and that area is.
Would you feel horrible if you didn't bring Trippier and he went up by another 0.1 to take him to 7, and then you
He's
wanted
already
to
at
bring him
7.
in? Did he go up a 6?
He's at
Oh
7.
dear.
That's what I was saying. Yeah. He's at
Oh no,
he's at 7.
that's gonna hurt.
Yeah, he's at 7.
He's at 49.1% owned. He's nearly 50%
See,
ownership.
this is the thing. If this was a midfielder, I would have brought him in weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
What midfielder do you not bring in that's 50% owned? So it's everyone above me has him, everyone below me has him. How I'm in the middle, I don't know.
Newcastle's fixtures are good, eh?
But it's like,
They've got
is it worth?
Bournemouth.
Do you think I'd just do it?
They've got Bournemouth. They've got Chelsea, easy fixture. They've got Man United at home. I see Newcastle winning that. They got Everton. I see them winning that. They have Spurs away. That's their toughest fixture in the next 7-8 games. They got Fulham, Luton, and Forest before game week 20, before January 1st for the rest of this year. Money on Newcastle to actually score some thick points. And if Newcastle are scoring points, Trippier is going to have to be getting points in there. At least every second game week, he's going to be hauling.
So what do you think? Because we've gone full 60 and you've stopped asking me for advice and I'm starting to ask you for advice. So do I do Trippier and Doku in for Madison and Burn? Because that's the only way I can afford Trippier is by getting rid of Madison.
Doku is interesting.
Or do I do Palmer instead of Doku?
Palmer is a gamble. Trippier, whatever you're doing, Trippier seems to be the most solid move because it's a long. Unless Newcastle have to go on a complete 360 of a bender themselves, that or Trippier gets injured. Those are the two reasons why Trippier. Just keep in mind, Wilson has got a slight niggle and Isak is injured. Now, I'm not saying that affects Trippier specifically, but when you have this entire team and your two forwards are injured, it starts putting pressure on the defense, right? Because the whole team
so they might
suffers
start
as a
cracking
unit.
a little bit. Yeah.
So are we seeing the starts of a crack? Because they lost to Dortmund this week, a game that they should have won to make the group stages easy. That means that over the next month, as we head into
Their form might change a little bit.
like, are they going to be stressing about Champions League form over the next while? Because that's going to be stressful because they're sitting third in the group, but it's anyone's group because it's the group of death. And now they have to beat PSG and Dortmund to make sure that they get through. Is that not going to be their main
Focus.
focus, or
Do
is
you
the Premier
rest
League going to
Trippier?
be their focus?
I don't know if you do though. If he's fit, he plays. I think he's a Haaland for Newcastle. Not a Haaland in striker sense, but player value sense.
Bro,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I have some bad news. We're in added time. Oh my gosh!
Did that go by quickly? It felt very quick.
It's a TVA, bro. The TVA is, yeah.
TVA is VAR. This
I think
goodness.
so. Just to sum up, I would say that if you're going to jump on the Trippier train for the next until January 1st when his fixtures turn, you got to do it now. Because any later than this, and he keeps getting these hauls, you are gonna regret it. So, but the thing is, if you're going to use that Trippier money elsewhere, where are you using it to make that up? And is it working for you?
Well, let's be honest. I'm not going to get rid of Bowen. I'm not going to get rid of SAKA. And I'm not going to get rid of SALAH. So, is Trippier going to score more points than Madison?
Yes.
Then it makes it simple. I'll bring in Trippier. It's not that hard.
But then you have no Spurs midfield.
The game's the game. I have Doku though. One Doku
So,
performance, and I've outplayed Spurs for the last 2 weeks. I mean, but that's the thing. It's a risk. It's a gamble. But it's how badly do I want Trippier? How badly do you think I should want Trippier?
but
Is the question.
you're willing to take the risk that every time we bring in a player that's just scored massive amounts of points that they don't do well.
No, he's
And
going
you
to not
also
do anything. But I just don't know
okay.
who to fill that slot with. I
And
don't think
Chelsea, and this is Man City's next 4 games: Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs, and Aston Villa.
the toughest
That's
ones, I would say,
that
your
is
toughest run.
City's next 4 games. And I know City are the strongest team in the world, in my opinion,
It's not
but
an easy game run, though.
Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs, and Aston Villa, they'll Spurs and Liverpool are home, but Chelsea and Villa are
You
away.
can bet your ass
That
Villa's going to fight for that game.
that is a tricky run of fixtures. And Spurs almost beat Chelsea with 9 men. Liverpool are looking like they're trying to find a weakness, a crack in Man City and pull. Now that Tottenham and Arsenal have lost, Liverpool and City have an opportunity now to solidify as the strongest team, and that Liverpool versus Man City game will decide that. So,
Mhm.
and Chelsea, okay, who knows what's
Mhm.
going to happen on
No one
Sunday?
knows what happens there. This
VAR will
is the
decide.
dilemma, though. I mean, because if I punt and go with, because I need to get rid of Burn before he drops. Let's be honest. Gabriel's the next obvious one because he's only 4.8. But the thing is, if I go that route, I've locked out my fund to put Trippier back.
I'm not a fan of your Gabriel move because I feel like at this point in the game, I'd rather go for cheap defenders to free up money for my midfield.
So
And
who would you bring in instead of Dan Burn? Because we need to get rid of him. Whoever owns him, you need to get rid of him now. He's going to go down tonight, I believe. He's on
if you don't have
4.6.
Trippier, you should be getting Trippier. And if you're not going to get Trippier, then you should go into the Newcastle defense, probably for Lascelles or somebody who's cheap that's going to come in to fill for Dan Burns' position and free up money elsewhere. Because
Lescalis is a shout. Good one. Lescalis is a
if
shout.
if it's I would want to double check if the Scallas his minutes for the midweek game. But if he played against Dortmund, there's a good shout that he might play again for the
Whoa.
remaining of the Dan Burns
Have we been
timeout.
sleeping on this kid? 1, 2, 3, 4. He started the last 5 games for Newcastle and finished them.
Because Newcastle have injuries at the back. So and he's only 4 million, right?
61609 were his points.
Is he 4 million?
4 million flat. He hasn't gone up at all.
So for me,
He actually did go
if
up.
I
He was
was you,
3.9. He dropped and then he came back to.
if I was you, and you weren't ready for Trippier, I would just do that swap, or not just you, anyone. The more simpler swap, no negatives. You just swap Dan Burn for Lascelles, and you ride it out.
However, if I do your big brain move of Lescalis, I can afford Son if I take out Madison. Is the
And then
midfield of
Sun blanks
Saka
for the next 4.
is the midfield of Saka, Salah, Son, and Bowen a bit strong? I think it's not bad on
It's
paper.
strong, and some people are saying online that it's Mbuemo over Bowen going forward. That is actually the pick, considering fixtures.
They
So
also all said Ollie Watkins is going to become a staple pick, but that didn't really work out. But,
ever since they said that, he blanked.
so what have we learned? If the pundits say it's going to become a pick, it's probably not going to become a pick. No.
Okay,
But
let's speed through the rest.
let's quickly. So one more thing. Let's just quickly shift to your plans and your mindset for people to see your side because this is like an internal battle that we have.
Yeah, this guy wants to know what I'm
I got a
doing.
lot to think about.
I'm, I, I'm, I've kind of set my defense up so I at least have Anderson, Trippier, and I've got Baldock as my Baldock and Kabora as my fallback, so I'm not taking out cash, holding Maddie. My only problem is I've got this dead player in the midfield, Nkambe, but I also have this 0.7 in the bank, so I can afford to fill Nakamba up with Palmer to give me parity in midfield, and give me something better than a non-player in midfield. However, you made me alerted that is if I'm going to take Alvarez out, I can actually afford Doku,
I love how we help each other. It's very amicable.
and then I can jump to my backup forward being Archer. It's a pity you can't afford Alvarez and Doku because that would be amazing. Imagine that. But I'd have to get rid of Trippier. So I don't know what my play is. The play might be no play and just hold Alvarez and Haaland and ride that out.
It's not a
But
bad play, keeping a transfer.
Palmer on penalties, though, is a decent shout.
Because let's be honest, Sterling's going to get fouled in that penalty box. It's just what he does.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's
It's what he does.
It's going to be Palmer's going to be scoring points over the next 4 game weeks, even though it's tough. So I would say a 5 press million Palmer to come on as injury recovery on your bench, even.
Not bad.
Or as a bad fixture comes up for one of your players or an injury. It's not a bad. So that's my big move as I'm thinking about Palmer as a serious one.
I like it.
And the problem is that I don't know what to do with my forwards. I've got Watkins, Haaland, and Alvarez, but I don't know what to do because both Haaland and Alvarez are like not doing great right now. But there are no other better forwards. You tell me a better forward than those 3. Maybe Nunes, who can't hit the targets. Yeah. But other than that, like
you could argue Nketiah as well, but also like we've just seen, he scored a hat-trick and then blanks. But depends.
There's no consistency. No. I'd rather have. So that's why I'm going to leave my forward line, and I might just go for Palmer just to stabilize.
I'm going to be very upset with you and envious if you go for Palmer this week, because it's a great play. I would love to get Palmer in the team, but I think you're right. And I think it's not worth taking -4-4. But I think if I do the Lascelles move and hold that week and monitor the pricing of Palmer, I could swap a Dringer out for Palmer the next week, which will probably be a better play.
But if you're doing Lascelles, are you still having the opportunity to get Trippier? Are you saying no Trippier?
Well, if I'm doing Lascelles, I'm saying yes to Son.
Is this where you trip here? Okay, wait. We got a minute. Okay, a minute. Let's run through the fixture of the weekend, and you just say one player that you're thinking is going to make a difference. Okay, Wolves versus Spurs. Who's the one player? It's going to cause you anxiety.
Neto.
I'm going for Son to haul after blanking. Arsenal versus Burnley.
Saka.
Nketiah double. Crystal Palace versus Everton.
Anderson clean sheet.
Decore goal.
Really?
He's playing high up. Man United versus Luton.
Marcus Rashford 90th minute goal, assisted by Bruno Fernandes.
Mason Mount actually plays a good game and comes into.
Don't know why he went there, but anyway.
Bournemouth versus Newcastle.
I feel like Bournemouth are going to fight. I don't think that they'll win. It'll either be a 0-0 draw, which means Trippier clean sheet, and let's get a clean sheet, or it'll be a 1-0 because I think
Trippier
Newcastle.
Hat-trick.
Trippier hat-trick, you brave.
Aston Villa versus Fulham.
That make me want to bring in the player. Watkins brace. Give it to us.
Watkins quadruple. Brighton versus Sheffield.
Matoma Blanca, drink a double.
Brighton Hall. Liverpool versus Brentford.
Tough
Nunes
game.
hat-trick.
Buemo and Nunes hat-trick. 3-3 draw.
West Ham versus Forest.
Bowen.
West Ham clean.
Forces Bowen. Forces Bowen. Shut up.
And Chelsea versus Man City.
Haaland 6 goals.
Chelsea win this game 2-1. VAR gives us the game. Palmer and Sterling get on the score sheet somehow to score points against their
Palmer. That's it. We'll see how it goes.